Let's podcast alongside Joe Giglio. I'm Joe Ovias inside Eford Studios in downtown Raleigh. Thanks to Empire Properties and thanks to Copiers Plus. Check them out online at copiers-plus.com. I feel like I'm going to have to start utilizing Copiers Plus in a way that we have this wall to the left of me, to the right of those watching on YouTube, where there's really nothing there because you can't see it. But I think I'm going to start printing out things from the Kyocera with slow news day topics, because now we're in the Wednesday of the summer.
It is Wednesday.
This is traditionally the slow news day. So I think what I'm going to start doing is they pull off the wall in case of slow news day, and we can go from there. So folks, we have a potpourri of things to talk about today. But in the meantime, contact Copiers Plus today, copiers-plus.com. Save on print management, document solutions. Get your stuff to the cloud, ladies and gentlemen. Speaking of things that I found on the cloud, it looks like we got an update on that General Assembly proposal that would get State and Carolina specifically, because those are the big dogs that people are worried about in the state of North Carolina, to play the likes of App State, ECU, Charlotte, etc. It's not lost on me that when we talked to the representative who introduced this bill, NC State and App State were still on the books when this bill was introduced, and then magically they were no longer on the books.
Yeah,
and
I think maybe they knew that was coming.
I think they knew that was coming. This is from Andrew Carter, our friend over at the News and Observer. He pointed out that the bill that would require UNC and State to play App State, ECU, and Charlotte more often in football and basketball passed through a House committee today in about 30 seconds. Bill would also put into law that UNC and State play every year. Andrew was working on a more in-depth story about this, but Representative Jake Johnson, the primary sponsor of HB 965, provided this quote in an email. Safe to say, it sums up the general thought behind the proponents of the bill. Here is the quote from the chairman, House Oversight Committee, Jake Johnson. This bill was a product of some schools refusing to play against their in-state competition. I believe refusing to participate in these games would be harmful not only for the fan bases here at home, but the economic impact that greatly benefits the communities around these institutions. I hope this bill is the beginning of a dialogue that will result in all universities doing what is right for their university and the state as a whole. End quote, Joe.
If you're a little bit younger or new to the area, this actually happened before in the early 90s. It was specifically for ECU, though, to play UNC and NC State. And obviously that gave us about, I think 12 games, over the last 20 plus years between those three schools. So I think you're seeing history repeat itself a little bit. And I think part of it is that App State side wanting to see more of those entertaining type games. Because back then, App State was a 1AA team, and quite frankly, nobody cared who played App State.
Wake Forest did.
Wake Forest did and typically lost even as a 1AA.
I was going to say, poor Jim Caldwell. Hell of a coach, man. Hell of a coach. But, man, when he was at Wake, lost to Apps.
So this is a little bit history repeating itself. I think the more interesting part here is, if you're reading it correctly, that Carolina and NC State. Well, what do you mean?
Ding, 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 ding.
Are they not going to be in the same conference forever?
What? There are two things about this that I find interesting. So let's address the first part, which you just brought up, State and Carolina's equation. I think that's the buried lead here. Everybody's wrapped up in what does it mean for App State, Charlotte, ECU, all that stuff. No. I'm going to go ahead and pull up the bill right now. If you're watching on YouTube, I am going to get to, what do we got here? It's all legalese stuff. Interstate athletic competition. Let's get to sub-headline C1 or whatever. Competition required. A high enrollment institution shall do all of the following in each eligible sport. Subsection 1. Every academic year, play at least one home or one away game against another high enrollment institution. And 2, eligible constituent institution that is not considered a high enrollment institution. That would be your App State, ECU, etc. So each academic year play at least one home or away game against another high enrollment institution. You mean, wait, why wouldn't State and Carolina play every year as is? If I looked at it correctly, there's also, a high enrollment institution shall alternate home and away games that are scheduled against the same eligible constituent institution that is not a high enrollment institution. So all this other stuff that comes in here also ties into, I believe, neutral sites as well, meaning that I guess a State and Carolina game could take place at Bank of America Stadium like it used to way back in the day. But anyway, that's the part that people should be focused on. And this is the NCGA. And the reason why I think there's a legitimate chance that this gets further than people initially anticipated is because of that specific part. We are looking at the potential of the ACC dissolving or somebody staying back while another goes somewhere else, i.e. Carolina, and the potential of State and Carolina not playing each other, much like Texas and Texas A&M didn't do the thing. And we want to prevent that because I think it's good for all parties involved, including us as a podcast, that State and Carolina play more often than not. That's the part that I'm curious about.
And I think that's the actual thing they can control. You know, God bless the Board of Trustees and Board of Governors for thinking they can tell ESPN or Fox what they can do with their money. They can't. That's the truth of the matter. Okay. This isn't even 2002 anymore where Virginia said, hey, ho, you're going to have Virginia Tech in your conference. Doesn't work that way anymore.
No, not anymore.
So the one thing you can control is if once these schools go their separate ways, with Journey, you'll be able to play the song and make sure they play in football on an annual basis, and probably one game per year in basketball would be my guess as well. Going back a half a step on these college football schedules and the State game, remember, State was supposed to go to App State. And that game was taken off of the schedule. That wasn't politics. And part of it probably was State being like, I don't really want to go there. Now, that might be part of it.
Hey, man, once you go up the mountain, you're a changed man.
That might be part of it. But remember, Jim Phillips, as the commissioner of the ACC, said, we are going to do everything we can to no longer play group of 5 teams on the road. We don't need to go play road games against these schools and lose and damage our reputation as a conference. That was an edict from the top of the conference. And that's why you see still the App State game in Raleigh is still on the books in 26. That's interesting. I think ECU 25, 28, quite frankly, Dave is thinking I can beat ECU. And particularly where they are at this point in the program.
That's
what I mean.
Famous last words.
I don't think you see them coming on. No, I know, and that's not how this series goes. No. But you know what I'm saying? Like, I think that
they shouldn't have had any problems against ECU last year. You got that Ole Miss field goal.
You got to remember all of these things when it comes to Dave is how many times can I win?
Yeah,
because he gets a bonus. It's part of his contract.
Yeah.
So who would you rather play? Northern Illinois, who they're playing this year at home, who you're going to beat? Or do you go to App State and give up 63 points?
No, but that's the Dave Dorn homecoming game. That's the Dorn Bowl.
Sure.
Yeah. You do that for warm, fuzzy, feel-good storylines. That's why you play Northern Illinois.
Sure.
One other aspect about this, the other part about this, and I've seen a lot of the sentiment in my timeline. I've seen a lot of the sentiment in YouTube comments. I've seen this in some emails that we'll get. And you can text us too if you want to at the OG Sports phone, 919-444-2211. They keep talking about economic impact, tourism, and things like this. I believe that people either don't pay attention to in-state tourism ads, which is a problem, or don't understand that in-state tourism is a thing. They hear tourism and they're thinking, like what we talked about yesterday with Bank of America Stadium. You want to bring big events to Bank of America Stadium. In order to do that, you're really going to have to reimagine the stadium.
Facility.
And you have a better facility, and you have the opportunity, whether it's a translucent dome, retractable roof, whatever it is, to get a Final Four. You can never get that in the Triangle. To get WrestleMania, those types of things, okay? That's tourism as we classically know it, bringing people from all around the region to your town. Got it. But there is another very important aspect to tourism in the state, and that's people like you and me in the Triangle going to other cities in North Carolina. I know this from doing the beer podcast for the longest time. Asheville helped itself be put on the map because of brewery tourism, craft beer tourism. You want to go get this hot shit beer at this hot shit brewery. You go to Asheville, you spend time there over a weekend, and that's good for everybody. And of course, you're bringing people from the other region as well. But it's just as important to bring people from within the state to your town. Why do you think we call Wrightsville Beach Raleigh Beach? How much money do you think the town of Wrightsville gets from people in the Triangle? All right.
Decent amount.
Decent amount of money. Same with Carolina Beach, too, which is my beach of choice. Drive the extra 30 minutes. So when people scoff at this idea of tourism, how is it tourism? It's because there will be more people going to Boone from around here than, say, Miami fans or whoever else. That's also a matchup that people want to see. It's a much easier trip. That's more dollars in your town. That's more dollars spent here in the state. So there is a tourism component to this that I do not like people kind of dismissing, being very cavalier about in-state tourism. Y'all, it actually is kind of a big deal because more people are going to show up from a local rivalry, so to speak, than say if, I don't know, give me a random Big Ten school. Just give me
Minnesota, who plays
there you go, Minnesota.
Carolina this year.
Do you really think that Minnesota fans are going to show out at Keenan? Do you really think
they
that?
didn't last year? No.
No, they're not. But you know who will show out at Keenan? You know who will put some money in Chapel Hill? App State fans, ECU fans.
I know you're dismissing this on the competition level.
Yeah.
But here's the truth. Look at Carolina's side. Mac Brown on the field said, I don't ever want to play App State again. Said it on the field.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's like, we've done it enough. To be fair to Mac, he was like, we've done this enough. Let somebody else play them. And that's fair.
I also want to be very clear.
That's fair.
I do not think these teams should play every year.
Are you talking about like App and them?
I do not think NC State should play App every year. I don't think they should play ECU every year.
But you're okay with them having a rotation of these teams. They play App one year. They play ECU the next year. They play Charlotte the following year on this rotation. You're okay with that?
I don't think NC State or North Carolina should be required once a year to play another in-state team. I'll just put it that way.
Okay.
I don't think that.
Okay.
I think you can strong arm them into putting a series together, which is what had happened in the 90s. Okay. And I think that series turned out to be really good. I think it was entertaining, way more entertaining than any other non-conference games that any of these schools have played in the interim. Mm-hmm. But given their choice when it comes to scheduling wins, when Carolina plays ECU, what happens invariably? ECU kicks their ass. Because, and part of it was because of a style issue.
Yes.
Carolina wanted to play under Larry Fedora the way that ECU did. Mm-hmm. Well, guess what? It's really hard to do. Beat a team at their own game. ECU would put up 70 points on them. Do you look on Carolina's schedule on FBCschedules.com right now? There are no future games with ECU. There's a reason for that. They don't think they can beat them. They don't want to play them. Mm-hmm. That's the same reason NC State's looking at App State going, I can play. I'll sign up for ECU. I know what I can do against them. Yeah. Remember during the pandemic, magically State was like, oh, we got a random 59-3. You're running a fullback give to your center all of a sudden. You know what I mean? So that's their mindset. Yes, they were lucky as hell to get out of Dowdy Ficklin 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Thanks to us. ECU
played their ass off in the second half of that football game. Mm-hmm. But you look at these schedules and don't ever think for a second and you're sitting here probably thinking to me, Joe, Mac Brown will not be North Carolina's football coach in 2028, let alone 2026. And I'm sitting here thinking, I don't know. But their mindset when they schedule these things is, hey, especially in the position that Dave Doran is in now in year 12, where you're going, hey, Dave, guess what? He has input.
Mm-hmm. I wouldn't put it past North Carolina and Mac Brown for that team to be coached by an AI construct of Mac. I'm just going to put that out there. Just going to throw that out there.
I also want to say, for the record, I hate both of their schedules this year.
Mac GPT.
I hate State's schedule this year, and I hate Carolina's schedule.
Why? I mean, they're easy at home.
Minnesota, Charlotte, Central, JMU.
Don't sleep on JMU,
State does play Tennessee. Western Carolina, Tennessee. La Tech, no ill. Kill me. Just, please.
They're just trying to get to a certain amount of wins, man. That's what it's all about. Housekeeping brought to you by Enovana. Check them out online, ENOVANA.com. Green Cleaning Solutions.
If you have mess inside your mansion or trash in your cabana, get it clean with Enovana.
So with Enovana, just go to the website. You can do a one-time cleaning, recurring cleaning, all those fun things. We got the podcast festival coming up August 24th. Speaking of college football week 0, we're going to be at the Rialto with the Shutdown Fullcast. You know that lovely crew. Hand in the Dirt with our friend Michael Felder. And then, of course, we will be there all at the Rialto. 3 shows, 1 ticket, and we moved some more units yesterday, Joe.
More
units. We sold more tickets.
You better hurry up. They're going fast.
I think we sold 5 tickets yesterday. So Buy them today. Go to the Rialto website. And of course, we thank Breeze Through for being the presenting sponsor of the podcast festival. Check them out online at breezethrough.com. Download the app. That way you can save money on gas. And as you are headed out to the beach or doing your own local tourism, by all means, drop by a Breeze Through, fill up a cooler with ice, got the best ice, and get your beer cave, all that fun stuff at Breeze Through. Get your scratchers. My dad was very hyped. I saw my dad yesterday. And when I was leaving the house after a little cafecito, I was like, all right, time for me to go. I'm like, where are you going? It's like, it's the first Tuesday. Well, oh, I see. I know. Touchy subject, Joe. But he went off to get his scratchers. I said, please go to the Breeze Through to buy those scratchers. Good man. Anyway, we thank Breeze Through for sponsoring the podcast festival. We will be at Longleaf Swine on not this Thursday, but next Thursday for a golf tournament Joe Giglio does not want to name.
June 13th.
June 13th, Longleaf. Are we doing the 1 o'clock thing again?
Yes.
Yes.
Fits their lunch schedule better.
So go to longleafswine.com. Speaking of lunch, they got a great lunch menu. And it's not just brisket. It's not just barbecue. I get it. They got a great menu. They have a salad on the menu that's fantastic. Don't sleep on that salad. You're a big fan of that pot pie when it's on the menu. The dinner menu is fantastic with the burgers. And every so often they'll do like the brisket melt. I've had the Ribbler, which is also really, really good. All that at Longleaf. Check them out online at longleafswine.com. Big thanks to Hometown Realty for sponsoring Ovias and Giglio. Check them out online at myhtr.com. Again, that's myhtr.com. You can buy and sell with confidence with Hometown Realty. A lot of new construction going up. As I've been driving around, I'm seeing developments go up all the time. There's sometimes incentives that are related with those new construction projects. Hometown Realty can help you out with that. And let's say you bought that house. You got to take it to closing. That's where Whitaker and Hamer come through. Check them out, wh.lawyer. Again, that's wh.lawyer, attorneys and counselors at law. We have not had a bicycle incident yet for Giglio to contact Whitaker and Hamer, but you never know, man.
It's coming.
You never know when that might happen. I'm just saying, be on the lookout. We might have an update for you. And if it does happen, Whitaker and Hamer will take care of it. So I mentioned it's a bit of a, it's Wednesday. It's classically a slow news day. So we can thank LeBron James and JJ Redick for getting the people going today on a variety of topics. The NBA finals don't start until tomorrow. So we have one more day to talk about Kyrie. We've got one more day to talk about what's up with the Lakers job and everything else. But here we are with Shams Charania of The Athletic dropping this nugget yesterday. I'm just going to read directly from The Athletic. And that is that the team is, as he put it, zeroing in on JJ Redick as their top head coaching candidate. Redick, a former NBA sharpshooter turned media star who owns a podcast network and sits alongside Mike Breen and Doris Burke at ESPN for their top NBA broadcast team, also happens to co-host a podcast about hoops tactics with
LeBron James.
Also interesting in this story, and this report actually came out back last month. I think it was in the middle of May when I initially saw this story. But Mike Krzyzewski, did I say his name right? It's been so long. Yeah, Mike Krzyzewski, Coach K, Redick's college coach, for those who are young, is, as Shams put it, heavily assisting the Lakers search. And I'm thinking to myself, we're big on anniversaries. Like yesterday was the 40th anniversary of Born in the USA, was the 50th anniversary of 10 Cent Beer Night, which I saw one minor league team had a brilliant promotion I saw yesterday after the show. 10 cent beer and free tattoos. What a great combo, man. I might actually get my first tat on a night like that. I've been talking about getting Roy on my shoulder, right? On one shoulder. And then Ollie, my other cat, in like a little cardboard spaceship.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I would have been all about that on 10 Cent Beer Night. Missed opportunity. Anyway, 20 years ago in July.
Wow, has it?
20 years. 2004. Mike Krzyzewski was legitimately talking to the Lakers. And he ended up not taking that job. He released a statement, blah, 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 blah.
The president of Duke stood on campus with a bullhorn and chanted, "Stay, Coach K."
Yes. Two things about that.
An all-time low in academia.
Two things about that.
All time.
It just so happened that it was Vince Price,
I
right?
think it was Dick Broadhead.
Was it Dick Broadhead was the new guy?
I think so.
I have to go back and double check on that one. So apologies. Either way, he was a new Duke president at that time, which of course in every story of college athletics with a very successful coach, anytime there's a new president or a new AD, the top athletic dog has a little bit of a hey.
Let me explain to you the hierarchy of this here university, sir.
So Kay had been wanting a new indoor facility.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't have one. Magically, after all that, guess who got a nice new indoor practice facility? Duke basketball. That's how it works out that way. You know what my low-key favorite part about 20 years ago, Coach K and the NBA flirtation and everything else, and I'm not talking about how it eventually morphed into him taking over Team USA basketball, which has clearly embedded him in NBA circles, has that relationship with LeBron James. So clearly I can see why Mike Krzyzewski might be assisting in this particular situation. It was Roy Williams.
Postscript.
The postscript to all this, Roy Williams just kind of nonchalantly going, yeah, that's cool. I talked to Lakers too. Like, what's the big deal? It's classic Roy Williams, man. If you ever needed the dichotomy of those two guys, there's huge process around Mike Krzyzewski, much like his farewell tour.
Yeah.
Huge process, release a statement, all that stuff. And then Roy casually dropping, oh, Lakers job? Yeah, man. I've talked to NBA teams.
Talk to them.
Yeah.
About that job.
Yeah. No big deal.
Yeah. I'm remiss now that I didn't ask, and I wanted to. I should have, and I'm remiss that I didn't ask Lavelle Moten about this, because I remember when Steve Nash got a job.
We can bring Lavelle back.
No, I know. But I didn't ask because I already know the answer, and I just didn't want to provoke him. But
I got you.
You talk about what has to be frustrating for Black coaches in the sport or any sport.
The skipping of the line.
You want to talk about what has to be frustrating to them.
Yeah.
You know, is seeing the Jeff Saturdays, the Steve Nashes, pick a sport, pick a number of guys who just kind of get a job, and you're like, well, wait a second. And, you know, you could sit here and go, Steve Nash, he's all-time great point guard. Well, sure. I'm sure there are plenty of former Black players who were all-time greats who don't get the same opportunity.
Lavelle referenced it because when we talked about the Next Up Coaches Conference, the biggest sticking point with a lot of these coaching decisions or who gets on a staff is nepotism more than anything else. Nepotism is actually the worst culprit in any of this stuff. But yeah, these relationships where you've got the media star, you're thinking more about winning a press conference, you're looking at it as a media brand. That's how you end up with some of these situations. And there's also the calculation of JJ Redick. I don't know this for certain, but you're not going to convince me otherwise. I'm pretty sure that JJ Redick and the Hornets, when that was floated out there during the Hornets coaching search, that was a trial balloon to see how it would be received that JJ Redick was interested in a coaching job, all to set up what we're seeing now with LeBron James. Same with the podcast too. They're vibing. And that's going to be the sell when he gets the job. That's going to be the sell. Straight up, that's going to be the sell. Now,
if you offered me $1 million right now to name LeBron James's last 5 coaches, I can name Ty Lue because they won the championship together.
Yeah.
Mike Brown, Sepp, what was the guy's name who he sent back to?
Sepp
No,
Blatter
that's the FIFA guy.
Yeah, that's the FIFA dude.
David Blatt.
Yeah. David Blatt went back to Euroball.
He sent back to.
Yeah, went back to Euroball, right? I think so. I think that was because he got the job.
I guess I just did name them. Darvin Ham, Frank Vogel.
It took a while.
Did you just give me $1 million? No, it's not promised.
Is that the credit card limit?
I wish.
Yeah, right. Can we do a GoFundMe for that? I don't know.
No, I guess my point is like LeBron is the one who coaches the team.
Yes.
So
yes,
you know,
which gets us to
which is fine.
Which gets us to the other part of this. Speaking of that podcast with JJ Redick and LeBron James, what's called Mind the Game, I think is the name of the podcast. And as we approach the start of the NBA Finals, we have this great kind of recalibration of Kyrie Irving, and we talked about it a little bit earlier this week, and I'm uncomfortable with the way that people are trying to position it as though Kyrie Irving is owed some sort of apology because he got the Dallas Mavericks to the NBA Finals. No, that's not what is owed to Kyrie. You can commend Kyrie for kind of focusing and getting his act together, and whatever was going on with him has been put to the side, and he's been able to be his best self, which is great to watch. Because when Kyrie is on, dude, he is an incredible player to watch, and ultimately why I think the Dallas Mavericks are going to win this series. Luka and Kyrie, just saying. I don't see that with the Celtics. Now, LeBron, who was teammates with Kyrie in Cleveland, had this to say.
Listen, I will call Kyrie the wizard all the time. Like, all the time. Like, there was nothing on the basketball floor that Kyrie couldn't do. And sitting here watching it, I'm playing like so fucking happy and so proud and to watch him and continue his growth or whatever the case may be. And at the same time, I'm so fucking mad at the same time that I am not his running mate anymore. So I'm like, I just remember those times. And back to what you were saying, JJ, like to have a guy like Kyrie Irving as the ultimate wild card, that's like having it's like having a draw 4 in your hand every time someone deals you cards in Uno.
Now you're talking about language.
That's why I wanted to play the clip.
My language.
That's why I wanted to play the clip. I was waiting just for the Uno reference. You're like, oh, Chilio perked up. All right, a couple things about that. LeBron's right. He is the wild card. He's the draw 4, all that stuff, all the Uno references that you want to make. However, it's like, I'm so mad I'm not he's not my running mate anymore. Dude, you kind of had a hand in that. And Kyrie sort of saw the writing on the wall in Cleveland, and that's when he asked for the trade. It's a lot more complicated in Cleveland than people want to make it out to be. You can read any number of reports that you want, and I think the common thread throughout all of it was that Kyrie saw that LeBron James was going to do what was best for LeBron James.
Yes.
So Kyrie got ahead of it and said, I want out.
I want to do what's best for me.
Exactly.
Now, he certainly could have done that a year later, but
so why didn't he do it a year later, Joe?
He was talked into it by the back pro, Carl Lentz, former NC State walk-on, Carl Lentz, who became a pastor to the stars, a spiritual leader, famously to Kevin Durant, and then Kevin introduced him to Kyrie. There was a conversation about, forging your own path, and if you really want this, you got to go do it on your own. And then there was this trade to the Celtics for a bag of rocks, one of the all-time dud of a trades.
Yeah.
Because, so here's the
chronological order.
The chronology, is that a word?
Yeah.
Chronology.
We'll make it one.
16, Cavs win. Kyrie is spectacular in their 3-1 comeback. People want to remember the block, but it was Kyrie's shot that wins game 7.
Yeah.
Okay. He was spectacular. 17, they get back to the finals, they lose, they get swept. That was the year that Durant was finally like, okay, I'm not fooling around anymore here, people. You got the full Voltron Warriors that year. Then you have that summer of like, hey, LeBron's got only 1 year left on his deal. He's getting out. So that's where you get the meeting of the pastor of the stars, Carl Lentz. And in 18, he's traded to the Celtics. And in part, he was traded to the Celtics. His theory, Kyrie's theory was, I'm going to go somewhere and I'm going to be the mentor. What we forget now, though, because he was a one and done and because he had already been in the league for so long and already been a number 1 overall pick, he was only 25 in August of 17 when he was traded. He's 25 years old. So I think part of what LeBron is lamenting there is think about those 7 years. Yes, LeBron went on to win a championship without him in Los Angeles, where he was able to get Anthony Davis as really the guy who carried all the water during the truncated regular season. And then in the bubble, LeBron turned that thing on in the finals, right? But think about it. That's 7 years that they could have been together.
Could have been.
Particularly with the Cavaliers, because the Cavs would have had Kyrie's Larry Bird rights. So they could have been paying the two of them forever.
But that's part of LeBron and his own needs and wanting to go other places, and his relationship with Dan Gilbert and going to the Lakers and everything else.
And there's no way.
By the way, there was talk about Kyrie going to the Lakers. There was talk about that.
By the way, there's no way LeBron would have put up with Kyrie's
extracurriculars.
No, what was it called? The shot. the vaccine.
Oh,
Not getting the vaccine.
That's what I'm saying. I'm encompassing all that stuff with the extracurriculars. Yes.
Well, that's what I'm saying. He wouldn't have put up with that part, and then obviously the part about the disparaging remarks that he's made about Jews and everything else, and like not wanting to play, and then deciding, oh, I don't need to do this, and then which he kind of went halfway in on instead of just being like, I'm done with this.
I'm out.
So that's the renaissance of Kyrie is for the light coming on for him to come back to Dallas and be like, here's my real chance.
The mistake you're making, though, is that LeBron James's mind, and you see peaks of it with clips like this, and when he's talking about Kyrie, right, is that in his mind,
he would have corralled him.
He would have corralled. Because remember, when LeBron James left Miami, Shannon Penn, our old producer, who's now at ESPN Radio, put it perfectly, put LeBron's years in Miami perfectly. It was college. It was exactly 4 years. That was his college experience. He learned under the organization that's well run. Say what you want about the Miami Heat. They're one of the best run organizations in all of sports.
Culture.
There's a culture there. LeBron James graduates, if you will, from the Miami Heat culture. And he thought he could just apply. Like, hey, man, I've won my 2 championships. I'm going to apply this culture myself. And LeBron James found out real quick, no. It's the culture of LeBron. It's not the culture of a team or all this other stuff. And you see this kind of playing out with the Lakers here down the stretch, and why we could end up with JJ Redick as the head coach of the Los Angeles Lakers. So I don't think Kyrie ever was going to deal with that, because if there's one thing that I've learned anything about in the NBA, guys are going to carve out their own path. They don't want to be the second dude.
Right.
They all want to be the dude. And
not everyone can be Dwayne Wade. And even Dwayne Wade at that point had won a title
everybody can
alpha.
Be Chris Bosh. Okay,
who
was comfortable being third.
Right.
Because remember, Kevin Love had a hard time dealing with that in Cleveland.
Absolutely.
He had one great defensive stop, though.
People forget the numbers he put up in Minnesota before he got there. Yeah.
Right.
Oh, it's hard.
So it is a very, very hard thing, and it's a lot more complicated than people want to make it out to be. But one thing I can say with confidence, LeBron James is going to make it about LeBron James one way or the other.
I was going to say, Kyrie, I feel like Kyrie's been hitting all of the right notes this week.
He has.
Like, hey, that wasn't the best version of me in Boston.
He's done a great job.
I don't have any animosity, because Tatum and Brown were the ones he was supposed to mentor. And he's even said, like, I have no animosity towards them. And, I've tried to tell Luka about this. And hey, man, he certainly seems like a changed person, or a person who saw that his opportunities were running out. Because as you and I like to talk about all the time, Kyrie's 32 now.
Yeah.
Not everybody gets the 38. Not everybody gets the 40 when you're in that league.
Clock's ticking.
Let's take a break. Let's take a hockey break. Brought to you by Happy and Hill.
All right, so we've got the Stanley Cup Finals that'll start up this weekend. Fun fact that I'm sure people have seen by now, this will be the longest distance between two teams in the Stanley Cup Finals. That's going to be a hell of a lot of travel between the Florida Panthers and the Edmonton Oilers. Having been to Edmonton once in my life, that is not an easy place to get to.
And the NHL still doesn't do the 2-3-2 format, which was created by the NBA because the Celtics and the Lakers every year seemingly were in the finals.
Yeah.
And the travel from 5, 6, 7 was stupid. So they said, hey, a better format for this when you're 2 time zones away. That's what the NBA does. You do 2-3-2.
So
it's called Coffin's Law. That's an old newspaper guy who said you should pick the playoffs based on the longest distance, because that would be the biggest pain in the ass for the newspaper and TV people.
A couple of things to get away from. We'll talk about the Stanley Cup Finals once we actually get around to the Stanley Cup Finals on Saturday. But I was texting about this with Luke DeCock at the News and Observer, who sent me a couple of clips from like Larry Brooks and some other New York people as it relates to the Rangers and them being butthurt about the Florida Panthers and how they played and all this other stuff, as if they don't have Trouba and Rempe on their freaking rosters, right? Like, are they going to allow the Panthers to headbutt? Like, what are we talking about here? I thought Trouba talked about how he was limited. And of course, my guy Tom, limited, huh? And it's a screen grab of Trouba flying into the glass.
Oh, yeah.
Like that kind of stuff in the Kane series. And I've essentially come away from this playoff series with this particular Stanley Cup playoffs season thinking, man, are Rangers fans the dumbest hockey fans in the NHL?
Wow.
Are they the dumbest ones? I've come to this conclusion that Rangers fans in particular, based on what I've seen in the comment section, what I've seen online, it is one of the most knuckle-dragging takes on hockey that I've ever seen, that I've seen better hockey conversations out of southern markets. I've lived long enough. I have lived long enough now. I've been on this planet long enough and watched enough hockey to go, if I want decent, legitimate hockey discussion, I can get it in Panthers land. I can get it in Tampa. I can get it here in Carolina. But in New York, I am getting absolute shit takes when it comes to hockey.
Well, yeah, it's kind of like how the WNBA is being treated. That's how they treat hockey.
That's probably, you know what? That's probably what it is. That's actually probably what it is. Quick note about the Carolina Hurricanes. Nothing new on Seth Jarvis. There's continued rumors about Marty Necas. Elliot Friedman, 32 thoughts.
How about a GM? Like,
that's what I'm saying.
Shouldn't that be like first
priority number one? There's been some names that have been floated around for potential GMs, and the biggest sticking point with the Carolina Hurricanes and general manager and all that stuff. And we can maybe talk about this next week and explore it a little bit more. It's honing in on the fact that Tom Dundon runs things differently as a front office, which might limit the kind of person who's going to be whatever role they're going to fill it, because it's not going to be a traditional general manager role.
I say the numbers guy becomes the GM, and then Justin Williams becomes the president,
the front-facing person.
Sure.
I think ultimately we're going to end up with that too. I think that will be the case. They'll go through the thing, they'll go through all the people, and then, we had the internal candidate all along. And I think ultimately the way I would read this, I'll have to be very careful in how I say this. The way I would read it is that role that you're talking about for Justin Williams is his if he wants it.
Yeah, because Don had to do a lot of stuff with the Centennial Authority that might cut into your golf schedule and your retirement schedule and the things that you want to do with your kids' schedule.
That all factors in. I was at the Megan Thee Stallion show last night at PNC Arena, and I found a different version of Stay Ready when the twerking contest took place in the middle of the Megan Thee Stallion show. There were some Stay Ready All-Stars in the pit. I'm just saying. If you're a different kind of Stay Ready All-Star and you're ready to golf at a moment's notice.
If you are. Okay, now. Those Stay Ready All-Stars probably didn't have their pants on, or at least loosened. If you need,
let's just say they were short.
If you need pants that'll fit and belts and hats and all of those good things to stay ready for the golf course, that's Rowback. RHO back, rowback.com. Use that promo code OG20 and save 20%.
How'd you do yesterday?
Ended up playing 12 holes yesterday. Very, 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 very slow.
Okay.
One group ruined it for everybody. It was like, come on,
sucks.
people, don't be that way.
That sucks.
Ruined it for everyone.
That sucks. Big thanks to Nature's Relief. Check them out. naturesreliefhempstore.com. Pro tip, if you tell the folks at Nature's Relief we sent you, they love it.
They do.
And we love it.
We got a text yesterday about the teas. I had a couple of those teas yesterday. They're 3 milligrams.
Yeah, they're very low key.
Low. Chill.
Mm-hmm.
But people, listen, you can't go to my spot and take my stuff. Okay.
Oh, were the sodas gone?
The grape keefs are out.
Oh, no.
So tomorrow you get your choice. You want the orange or do you want the cola?
Give me the cola.
Okay.
Give me the cola. I'll do cola.
I will bring you the cola tomorrow.
And I'll probably do it on ice too.
I went yesterday. I got my 3 millis and I got 2 sodas.
All right.
Those are 10. The sodas are 10 now, sir.
Head on over to naturesreliefhempstore.com, RELEAF.com.
Hit the sounder. Hit it. You did it.
What did I do?
You spelled it correctly on the first try.
Yay. Hold on a second.
First time in like 5 weeks.
Go me.
No, that's the meeting.
Apple pie.
Stop.
You know what you can do on a slow news day, any time of the year? Talk about the NFL.
Oh, what happened? Anything exciting? Oh, Christian McCaffrey, or is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, there was a couple. So here, this actually ties into a brief conversation we had yesterday. So yeah, to your point, Christian McCaffrey got an extension with the San Francisco 49ers. Our friend Jonathan Jones over at CBS Sports pointing out that McCaffrey is now under contract until he turns 31. He was already the NFL's highest paid running back. when he signed that deal with the Carolina Panthers back in 2020. This is going to extend that thing out. Again, a 2-year extension. I think that kind of illustrates the San Francisco 49ers understanding the straw that stirs the drink, along with also knocking out that Deebo Samuel deal. You get the Ayuk conversation, but I think he's got, if off the top of my head, I think Ayuk only has one more year left on his deal. So for them, they're in no rush as they've kind of shored up the priorities for them while also still having Brock Purdy.
I'm just going to do it right now.
Do what now?
You're hurting me right now.
What am I doing?
I'm just going to do it right now. I'm just going to do it right now.
Okay. While you're looking that up.
So mad.
While you're looking that up, whatever you're mad about, CeeDee Lamb skipped the start of mandatory minicamp with the Dallas Cowboys as contract talks, as they've put it, are engaged. Of course, the CeeDee Lamb conversation took a turn when Justin Jefferson knocked out his deal with the Minnesota Vikings. Tyreek Hill, while talking about Tua Tagovailoa.
Did you sound my alarm?
I sound the alarm. Tyreek Hill, who was quoted yesterday talking about Tua Tagovailoa getting his deal done with the Miami Dolphins, also pointed out that he would like a new contract himself after he saw what Justin Jefferson got with the Minnesota Vikings.
I think I would want one of those.
He's still got 3 more years on his deal.
Oh.
But I think he went from like the top, if I remember correctly, he went from the top wide receiver contract to 6th this offseason. So Tyreek's like, I'm still the best in the game. So I get it. All this is to illustrate 2 points. One, when you think the Tyreek Hill deal was super, super expensive when you signed it, just wait because it's going to get topped. You set the market, somebody's going to set the market after you, which is always why it gets to point number 2. As we see with CeeDee Lamb, we see this with Tua Tagovailoa. I think we're seeing this play out with Trevor Lawrence as well, with the Jacksonville Jaguars, as they're talking about his upcoming contract. Get the deal done now, folks. Waiting to get the deal done on a guy you think is a building block of your franchise is always going to cost you in the end. It's the worst thing Dallas Cowboys ever do. They always wait until the last minute, and then they find it burning their ass. And they're going to do that with CeeDee Lamb because apparently that's what Jerry Jones has a history of doing. Don't do that. Same with Tua Tagovailoa. If you think he's the answer, sign him. If you're Trevor Lawrence, I don't need to hear about is he this, is he that, is he truly elite? No. If you think he is your franchise quarterback, you're just going to have to pay the going rate for a franchise quarterback. We live in a world where Kirk Cousins can get a deal that he gets just for being a decent quarterback in Atlanta.
Regularly.
Look what Jared Goff just got in Detroit.
Hey.
I know you're a Goffstrish guy.
Don't slander the Goffstrish.
I'm not going to slander him. My point is, this is just what the market is, man.
Yeah.
Do the deal early. It saves you money down the line. And on this program, we're all about saving you money.
Yeah, I was just about to place a bet on the Kansas City Chiefs to win the Super Bowl because I was so mad at the stupid 49ers for losing that football game and costing me so much money that I finally just resigned myself. But the Chiefs are the stupidest favorite I think I've seen in quite some time. Plus 500.
Yeah.
Like, wow. Now, here's what I'll do.
But that's money. That's public money.
Yeah, but here's what I'll do. I just wait till they're 5-5.
Yeah.
And they look like trash. And every receiver they have drops 25 open touchdown passes.
Mm-hmm.
And all looks completely and totally lost.
Mm-hmm.
And then the number will probably get to like 10-1. And then I'll take it in November. Jerks.
Well, if that wasn't a transition for the OG Gambling Syndicate, I don't know what was. NBA playoffs, as we talked about, they're getting going this week. We also got the start of the Stanley Cup playoffs. But DraftKings is the official sports betting partner of the NBA. We've talked about futures. There's live odds. We've got odds boosts. The boosts are my favorite thing to do. And right now, for new customers, use the promo code OG204. You bet $5, you'll get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Again, new customers, download that DraftKings Sportsbook app if you haven't already. Use that promo code OG24. OG24. Bet $5, get $200 in bonus bets only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 8777-185543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov. 21 plus, North Carolina only. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. Deposit and eligibility restrictions apply. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/basketball terms. So we know your Kansas City future bet already. You got any more futures?
No,
on me?
I didn't take it.
Okay.
We talked so much about LSU baseball yesterday that I feel
Mhm.
like it's incumbent upon to get some piece of Paul Skeens today.
Okay.
Pirates Dodgers total is 8.5. I'm going to take the under in the Dodgers Pirates game. It was 1-0 yesterday, which probably means they'll score 27 runs today. But Skeens versus James Paxton, so I'll take the under in that game.
Gotcha. One other NFL note. CJ Stroud has been making the rounds on social media this week for two reasons. One of them, Panthers related. The other, a classic sports talk debate, man. Like, this is perfect summer radio if you were still doing a radio show. Pro tip to all my radio friends out there, if you're looking for an hour to kill. Let's focus on the Panthers first. There was this is from our friend Vashti over at Carolina Blitz. On the $1 million worth of game podcast, CJ Stroud was asked about the craziest thing someone has ever said to him on the field. He told a story about the game against Panthers and number 42.
What's the craziest thing ever said to you?
I can tell you what my teammates said about somebody else. I don't really don't be. So we playing the Panthers, bruh. And this is hilarious. So Titus.
Oh yeah,
All right, he crazy, he funny. So we playing the Panthers, bruh, and it's 4th and 1 on the goal line. We call it a QB sneak. I sneak it in, and mind you, I'm already hot because the Panthers ain't drafting me. So I'm like, all right, like I like to show these cats.
Yeah.
And like for some reason, we just ain't really like we didn't mesh well that day. Like I only threw for like 140 yards, like lowest in my career. It was crazy. So and they was a nothing. But so I sneak it in. I score. I throw the ball. Bitch, I'm talking to the crowd, going crazy. And then bruh came and he was like, CJ, you ain't even like that. It's one of the, I don't even know bro name. You ain't even like that.
Safety?
You ain't even like that. Yeah, he was a safety.
Number 40 something.
Yeah, 42. And
He was talking
Titus
crazy.
Titus was like, why your side tooth missing? And bruh hold like his grill was gone. I was like,
Did he come back after that?
No, he shut up. He didn't say no the rest of the game.
Bro, we don't want smoke.
Bro, he don't want smoke. Bro, I swear. But
So he's talking about number 42. Who is number 42? That would be Sam Franklin Jr. Temple guy. My guys.
Serious football players.
Only serious football players only. That's just the way that it works. Now, remember, the Carolina Panthers did beat the Texans.
Yeah.
Was it 15-13, I think was the final? I was looking up on Football Reference. It looks like Franklin had one solo tackle. He had an assist. Yeah, so just 2 tackles total. So there you go. Didn't play a bunch, but is what it is. But the whole Panthers CJ Stroud thing is just going to follow the Panthers from here on out as long as Bryce Young continues to be whatever Bryce Young might end up being.
And again, that's not a zero-sum game. They both can be good. It just so happened to be that this year CJ Stroud was outstanding and Bryce Young was not.
Now, the part that CJ Stroud gave every radio producer in America a perfect thing to talk about this week, or maybe next week when you're just trying to find some things to talk about, was in relation to who would you rather be? Would you rather be? Let me see if I can find this real quick. Here, where'd it go? Here it is. I found it. This is from the same podcast, and this was a conversation about what career would you rather have.
I ain't talking about Tom Brady. If you had to pick a career to have, I'm gonna have Aaron Rodgers' career, or I'm gonna have Eli Manning's career. Who career are you taking?
you want the rings, dog. You don't want.
That's all that matters is the rings.
Eli got 2.
Guess what fans don't celebrate? MVP trophies. We don't give a fuck about that. That's for you, buddy. To sit at your fucking crib.
Yeah, I feel that.
We give a fuck about rings.
Damn.
You play
That's listen, when you think about it, when y'all playing that game and they all way up there in them booths, that's all they worrying about like this.
Exactly.
They worrying about the ring.
You respect that.
You worry about one thing.
But we humans
when
too, dog.
When the year start, you worry about one thing.
Super Bowl.
CJ, you just won a Super Bowl. Where you want to go? We go to Disneyland, man. Me and Texas.
No, I'm saying I'm going to the IE.
I guess that's the key to podcast success. I have to like just bug my eyes out, and maybe I bring back truth bombs. I don't know.
That was good. I already know your thoughts on Eli.
Look, man, if his last name wasn't Manning, we'd be talking about that QB completely differently. I'm just saying.
I'm trying to think if there's even anybody. I mean, Ben Roethlisberger would be the closest one. Somebody who started in 2 Super Bowls, and his team won 2 Super Bowls. Certainly, the Arizona one he had something to do with, and certainly in Eli's case, the second one where they beat the Packers, right? No, they beat the Patriots twice.
Just beat the Patriots twice.
Yeah, that one was another one where I thought he was really good in the second game against the Patriots. First game, 17-14. I mean, it was the Giants defense.
Whatever. I mean, everybody loves the Mannings. It is what it is. Have we talked to Jared over at Two Roosters about putting CBD in ice cream yet?
Not yet.
We got to talk to him about that. Just saying.
Sleepy time?
Yeah, sleepy time. Just fall asleep with a pint of ice cream on you, right? Who hasn't?
I've done that with Italian ice before.
I was going to say, who hasn't been there, man? It's happened to the best of us. They got amazing flavors. We've heard from some listeners who have tried the coffee bourbon. We've heard from some listeners who have their own favorites. And I know you have your new
coffee cookie dough.
The coffee cookie dough. I think we had an email from somebody who said they went and they checked out the coffee cookie dough, and it's like they need to stop missing.
Yeah,
or like they need to miss at least once.
Yeah,
like they hit every time.
Killing me.
I was gonna say like the previous clip. They got rings. Two Roosters has rings. 1, 2, 3. They always win. It is what it is. So head on over to tworoosters.com. Check out their rotating flavors. They happen every month. Locations across the triangle. I got my home base off of Person Street. So again, big thanks to Two Roosters for being a corporate champion. Also, OGs to OGs, Mosquito Authority, Pest Authority. My neighbor Paul has a Mosquito Authority, Pest Authority sign up on his yard. I'd like to take credit for that.
Absolutely.
Go to bugsbite.com. You can bundle and save. The mosquito treatments are fantastic. Chilling on the patio and keeping the mosquitoes at bay. Take care of things inside the house as well with Pest Authority, bugsbite.com to bundle and save, Joe.
Yeah, maybe you don't know the difference between a swarmer and a termite. I mean, I don't, but
no. Who does?
My friends at Mosquito Authority do. Check them out. They don't believe in contracts, but they do believe in saving you money. So go to bugsbite.com.
Before we start the lightning round in traditional terms, I don't have this over on my I don't have this on the computer yet. I forgot to do it this morning, but Brian over at Nice Price. I asked because he's the one who does the sweet guitar riff on the lightning round.
Those are Lemmy
and he
Motorhead ripoff.
He followed through on a countryfied version of the lightning round. You tell me what you think. I'm holding it up to the microphone here.
It's the lightning round.
That's good. It's the kicker that gets me.
It's the lightning round. We can't get Johnny Blue Skies to do it, but
chocolate chess pie.
Lightning round.
All right, let's just go ahead and start with a traditional lightning round intro, shall we?
The lightning round.
Brian's incredibly talented. All right, let's go to the NCAA baseball tournament. Super Regionals start up. NC State is taking on Georgia. Thank you. They're down in Athens. And Elliot Avent is talking about, we actually referenced this yesterday.
Yeah.
ECU and NC State, especially when it comes to baseball, Spider-Man pointing game. And there's
right to their coaches who have learned to have a nice relationship, which I'm happy for.
And that's in reference to this clip where Elliot Avent talks about the transfer portal and how certain guys end up from ECU to NC State and are crucial components of their success.
The transfer portal is something we're all going to live with now, and it's a tough thing, especially among programs that you're close to. And I find our program, the East Carolina program, two great programs, an hour and a half apart. And Cliff Godwin and I are very good friends. And in fact, I called Cliff the day before I was going to meet with Alec and told him, and I told him I didn't want to take him. I don't want to take a player from East Carolina. I don't want to take a player from North Carolina. I'm not into that, right? But he was going to leave. He was a grad guy, and he was going to leave. And I told Cliff I didn't want to take him, but I was going to meet with him next morning, and we needed a corner guy, third baseman, and we needed another stick from the right side. And I said, Cliff, if I like the kid, I'm going to have to take him if he's leaving, and I hope you'll understand. And he said, I do. And he said, you're going to like him because he's a great kid. So that's the way that went down. But what he's given us, I see the stats, 20 home runs, 24 doubles or something, hitting like 380 something. That's stupid numbers, but he's given us so much more. Him and Pennington have given us so much more from maturity, discipline, professionalism, and that carries equal weight when you're going through tough times.
So again, that's Elliot Avent discussing his relationship with Cliff Godwin. And look, I mean, for context purposes, it wasn't like Cliff took this news as easy as it kind of sounds. Now, remember, he tweeted through it a little bit when this happened last year. And Elliot's been through it too. I mean, look at Tommy White, right?
Well, the reason he lost his third baseman is because they went to Tennessee because they got a payday. Like, I mean, it happens. I mean, the interesting part of this for me in learning about it is ECU had a player, Dixon Williams, who is from Conley High School. So he's a local kid. And he played third base for them this year.
Yeah.
And that's what basically Cliff was saying to AMAC was, I have this local kid. He's this hotshot recruit. He's going to play third base. Now, I don't know what the rest of the conversation becomes with AMAC. In my opinion, I would have loved for ECU to have found a way to keep AMAC because he had such an amazing season for NC State. You figure on a team like ECU with the team that they had this year, if everything stays healthy, that's the kind of guy that you need who can pick up an extra play here or there and push you to Omaha. That's me looking at it from a distance. From AMAC's point of view, if you're sitting here thinking, well, I got to get drafted. This is the position I play. My brain, I'd say let the kid DH, let him play first. He's a hoss. I mean, he could probably play left field. But in his brain, he's probably thinking, no, I'm a third baseman, kind of like Tommy White, believe it or not.
Yeah.
Tommy White, told NC State, I want to play, in addition to getting, $500,000 from LSU, was like, I want to play third base. Mm-hmm. And Elliot was like, I don't think you're that good of a third baseman. So, I can kind of see it from everybody's angle. I am glad that it did turn out that way. Certainly for AMAC, he's had an unbelievable season. NC State is certainly not in the Super Regionals without his outstanding hitting this year.
Lightning round item number 2.
What
do I always tell you about the phone?
The phone?
Yes.
Oh, that they're listening.
The phone is always listening. It knows. I don't care what these tech companies tell you. They know.
What were we talking about yesterday?
We were talking about Michael Jordan potentially gambling with him and getting him up to the studio so we could gamble with him. And we thought like, well, we can just gamble on like quarters or pennies or
right.
And I was, because you were like, well, we'll set up the golf thing. And I was like, well, we can just gamble on anything.
No. He would gamble on an over-under of how many foam tiles are in the studio right now. And then we would count them, and he would probably win. So what did you open up Instagram yesterday, and what did you get yesterday, Joe?
I opened up Instagram. It took me a minute to figure out what it was. It was Jamal Crawford. I think this is from when Michael had been retired from the Wizards and would still go back to, lived in Chicago, would still go back to the facility and play pickup games with the current Bulls players.
I want you to understand that this clip is 6 weeks old, Joe.
Okay. So it's not like
no, but this
just happened.
But this is the algorithm at work.
Okay.
That's my point. Because if it was fresh content, you're like, oh man, isn't that funny? And it's a coincidence that we were talking about this Jordan thing.
There
and then
are no coincidences.
This happens. No. This is a 6-week-old clip. Tell me the phone's not listening.
You got Jay-Z and Beyonce sitting courtside at a pickup run. Bro, just watch it. Like, this is Jordan. Yeah. We had everybody come through the gym. Everybody. This is how cold MJ is. I'm giving y'all, I've never said this. One dude, this got word around, MJ, we all hanging out afterwards. One street dude come up there, got a bag of 100. MJ, let's gamble. MJ looked at him. He said, I ain't got a lot of time. Slip a coin for it, heads or tails. Dude looked at that 100. I'm good. He thought he was gonna go back and forth with him. MJ ain't got time for that.
100 racks?
He looked and said, let's flip a coin for it, heads or tails. Which one you call it?
Right.
Dude looked at that money like you could tell he had all the hood's money. He was like, man, I can't do this. I'm no flip. He looked. I'm good. Left. Man, my man was something. He would wear Jordans that probably still ain't out. Whole different color. Jordan outfit, baggy shorts, have a matching Ferrari outside, have a matching Lambo. He's on to something totally different.
So that's the pivot with Ryan Clark and friends. Very, very good podcast. And as Crawford's talking about this Jordan stuff that nobody else has. Actually, we know one other person who has it. Roy Williams.
It's just won't say. I'll flip you for it. I mean, that is
that's peak
life
Jordan,
goals, man.
Peak
Life
Jordan.
goals.
Peak Jordan. So I was our friend Matt Norlander. Oh, hold on a second.
Lightning round item number 3.
Our friend,
I love it that we can't keep track of like 3 items. We do that. You do that every day. You're like, I think it's number 2.
Yeah, it's vibes, man. It's all vibes.
But it wouldn't be right if we actually kept up with it and do like
actually had professionalism on this podcast, please. An actual professional, Matt Norlander,
yes,
was in town. He was doing a feature on DJ Burns as they get ready for the draft and everything else. So Norlander texted me. What was it? I think it was Monday. Yeah, it was Monday. He's like, hey man, I'm in town for like 3 more hours. You want to catch up? I'm like, yeah, let's catch up. So we're shooting the shit, whatever, and talking about DJ Burns. But the DJ Burns like thing is going to continue. If you thought it ended with NC State's Final Four run ending, folks, no, DJ Burns is still going to be an interesting fascination. And there's some debate as to just how much weight he lost over a certain period of time. And I know Shams Charania had put out that picture last week or 2 weeks ago. It's not as dramatic, even though he has lost around 45 pounds now, but it's been a much more gradual process. And you'll see this feature with Norlander, and it does, his workout, what he's doing, how he's preparing, everything else. But who is the guy that DJ Burns was compared to?
Zebo, Zach Randolph.
So on Podcast P, Zebo was on with Paul George and talked about DJ Burns' game. Let's go to the Zebo source, shall we?
Of the name, and you've heard of the comparisons to you. What do you feel about, DJ's game and relations of them comparing them to you?
I like him. I like the kid, man. When he first came on the scene, I think it was during the tournament. He's making, big waves. And I talked to him. Actually, I know this guy, Rick in Chicago. I know him. So we got on the phone and we talked, and he's, talking about me. The young man, he's very smart. He's, he's investing his money. He's buying vending machines. He's trying to go on clothes. He's into music. So his mind is he's developing. Like got so much stuff he want to do. And for me, I told him from a basketball standpoint, just get in the best shape you can. Lose much weight you can. Get in the best shape you can. Work on your shot. The game has changed. The NBA has changed in the way they play and the different styles. So just go out there and get your money and just work hard and believe in yourself, man.
So I know he recently lost 45 pounds. So you had something to do with that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, he looking good. I saw him, he was looking good. And he got his touch is so soft, he can shoot the ball. So I like the kid game, man. And I think, like you said, a comparison to me, that's cool because, he got a shot. So he good. And he just got to keep working, man, and don't get discouraged. And just keep believing in yourself.
So again, that was Zebo with Paul George on Wave Sports and Entertainment.
Yeah, we don't have an interesting NBA draft because there's a lot of unknowns. There's a lot of international players.
It's just Bronny, honestly.
Well, we have Bronny, which people just kind of assume that the Lakers will use their second round pick on. But then you have these 2 guys in Zach Edey and DJ Burns who faced off in the Final Four and carried their teams to the Final Four, who sometimes, Joe, old is new.
Yeah.
And I'll give Kenny Smith credit for this because he was the one who said it actually during the Final Four. He goes, I think an NBA team could take him and let him play in their second unit. And other teams would be like, what do we do with this guy? You know what I mean? Like, because it would be just old school. You could do the same thing with Burns.
Right.
You put him in there, you give him a couple of possessions in each half where it's just basically like, okay, as I always said to Paul Johnson. You know how awesome it would be if you ran the option the whole football game, but had a 2-minute drill. Like you bought in another quarterback who ran the 2-minute
People
drill.
wouldn't know what to do.
People would have no idea what to do with you. And then
they would give other teams 3 weeks to prepare for Georgia
And then
Tech.
all of a sudden, you could just sit on the damn thing in the second half because you'd have the lead.
Right.
You know, and that was, to tie a complete, to find a tangent that is nowhere near this conversation, that was Belichick. Well, I'm going to run this week. I'm going to run it 45 times with Corey Dillon. No. I'm going to throw it 80 times to open the game, and I'm not even going to attempt to run. So if you can, those are the two most interesting people in this draft, in my opinion, Zach Edey and DJ Burns, for those two reasons.
Lightning round item number 4. The last lightning round item.
You have heard us consistently say that when it comes to the WNBA, we're not immersed in the sport. We are not immersed in the culture. We are not even casuals, if you really wanted to break it down. We just, Caitlin Clark has brought a lot of people in.
Rod. Yeah.
She has brought a lot of people in, both good and bad. But I've tried to be as upfront as possible with the audience that, y'all, we're not trying to come at this as WNBA experts. Just trying to look at this from a perspective that makes sense for us, our own sensibilities. And we can get into the intricacies of jealousy, and we can talk about my personal beef with all of this. We talk about women's sports in a way that we would never talk about men's sports and what we expect. I mean, for heaven's sake, you're the newspaper man. There is a difference between a column from the Chicago Tribune and then the actual opinion board.
Oh, the editorial board.
The editorial board wrote about Caitlin Clark and how they have to protect her. We would never write about these things today. There's we have a hard time watching women be competitive. I mean, straight up, we just have a hard time watching women be competitive. And you sent me this. And if you need a better illustration of how, man, we got no fucking clue about the WNBA
I think
and
you
this
said
culture.
It was Bomani who said there's the game. And then,
No, it was Dominic Foxworth.
Okay.
Dominic Foxworth. So I was listening to a Foxworth Friday like 2 weeks ago or whatever it was, or last Friday when I was on my stupid walk for my stupid mental health. And Foxworth, who's really freaking good.
Yeah.
He's like, yo, man.
Terps, baby.
It's like, let me explain something to you. Like, we're familiar with the game, right? The actual game. And then there's the game, whether it's the rivalries, the contracts, the intricacies and stuff. But the WNBA has the game, and then there's the game. There's relationships. Somebody was dating this person on that team. They were teammates. Now they're not. They're broken up. Blah, blah. Somebody's in a relationship with this. Like all sorts of game. And this is a clip with Skylar Diggins. And I'm just going to play it.
I'm 28 now. I'm almost 30. But my pussy's old. Older.
I love the where am I? Yeah, man, we don't have a clue. Let's just say that. I mean, we just don't have a clue. That's the opening tip.
You know what?
This isn't like 40 minutes into the game and you've been sweating with somebody. No, this is just out the gate. I'm 28, but my pussy is older. Like, what? How?
I'm mad at myself for not getting into the WNBA earlier. It's way better than the men's game. That's opening tip.
That's literally
you might get, you might get, my old washed ass. My knees kind of creaky. Like, no. Man. I'm about to catch my breath there. Anyway, that's gonna wrap it up for the lightning round. You want to hear it one more time before I make it official? You don't.
I just love her instant reaction. I'm wearing a mic.
It's the lightning round.
Woo! Goodness.
Transition.
Matt Davis,
Let's see
State
who pulled this
Farm.
one off.
No, I'm not transitioning at all. I'm not transitioning at all.
Let's see if you can pull this one off.
Actually,
are you getting older? Is your home getting older?
Actually, I can.
Are you paying too much for your home
No,
insurance?
actually, I'll do it with the next one. But yeah, home insurance, car insurance. When you get older, man, the rates change. It's true. It's true.
You can save money.
So contact Pat Davis today at SureGarner.com, TheOGInsurance.com, or call 919-779-8277. And then you've got the butcher's market. If you're looking for aged beef, they got it. All right. That Wagyu. It's good stuff. You went to the butcher's market yesterday, right?
I thought you would be super proud of me.
What'd you do?
I went over to the frozen section. I got tuna steaks.
Yeah.
I got breakfast sausage.
Nice.
Delightful.
Nice.
Delightful. I also got my hot dogs because you know I can't resist the hot dogs.
I know.
But I thought, you know what? I gotta take some direction from Joe Ovius and find out all of the things they have here. They have what? They have like camel and some other they have some serious variety of gamey meats in that freezer, sir. I didn't get that crazy.
Yeah. No, if
because the tuna steaks really look nice.
So if my grandparents were still with us, and my mom's dad, who was all into we're talking rooter to the tutor pork.
Don't waste anything, man.
Don't waste anything, because that's just how it was. Different generation, different socioeconomic levels and things like that, man. And I mean, I'll never forget. We went to Versailles in off Calle Ocho, and he had we're talking off menu stuff. Like the old Cubans at Versailles, or the waiters were like, no, give me the other menu. And they're like, oh, I see, sir. And he brings out, he brought like a freaking pig's foot out, man. It was nuts.
Just gnawed on it.
It's actually kind of good though.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, that frozen section has all that kind of stuff. So if you're looking for oxtail, you're looking for quail, you're looking for all that stuff, they've got it back there. It's all really good stuff. So check out thebutchersmarkets.com. Again, that's thebutchersmarkets.com with locations all across the triangle. Do you know what you can get at the butcher's market? Crank Arm beer.
Yeah, you can.
So head on over to crankarmbrewing.com.
varieties.
Better yet, go to Crank Arm itself, the brewery in downtown Raleigh. It's concert season. It's a good way to pregame
Should
or
really
maybe
talk to
postgame.
Adam about it being open at 11 just for me. Because I like a little postgame pop.
That's true. That's a very, very good point. A very, very good point. All right, let's go to Twitter, where there was a lot of reaction to our conversation around David Tepper, Carolina Panthers owner, and the renovations at Bank of America Stadium. From Justin, retractable roof stadiums are a joke for NFL stadiums. The teams never open them for games, just build a dome for $1 billion less. I get what you're saying in terms of a retractable roof. Like, for instance, the Miami Marlins stadium never has the freaking roof open because, oh my goodness, there's a storm in the Keys, right?
It takes too long to close too.
But I'm pretty sure that the technology around retractable roofs has also improved. Looked at Mercedes-Benz Dome, right?
Go figure.
Hey, look, technology. Time marches on. But there's also like a translucent roof you can do, because I know in the quotes that were coming from Tepper Sports and Entertainment, they talked about, well, why would we want to give up this gorgeous skyline? It's all part of the appeal. It's right down to that ridiculous story from 20 years ago where people talked about how Keenan was just this incredible place to play because of the pine trees. Very intimidating to play at Keenan. I guess there's a translucent roof option, but we'll see. The point is, putting something on top of that stadium helps open the door for bigger events, which is what I thought David Tepper was about. From Jonathan, are we sure that Tepper doesn't want to move the Panthers? Look, I wouldn't put it past him. That's why I said yesterday, we touched on it a little bit yesterday, but I'll reiterate my point. If I am Charlotte, Mecklenburg politicians, I look at the 20-year agreement with the non-relocation with a 15-year out. So basically with 5 years left on that contract, he can pay a penalty to get out. It's freaking David Tepper. He's worth $20.6 billion. He can pay whatever penalty you put forth. I would ask for a longer term, because that sets you up. That clearly sets you up for an early exit possible relocation at 15 years. 15 years will go by real quick. So that would be the only thing I would push back on. Let's see. To Tyler. This is right up your alley, Joe. He got the wrong Giglio, but he got the Philly Giglio.
Oh, okay.
Happens all the time on Twitter. I have a good NCAA paying for travel story for you.
Oh, yeah.
Your favorite thing.
Yes.
First, I believe the NCAA will pay for flights once a baseball team must travel more than 500 miles. In 2015, when we played in the regionals, one team had to travel from Ohio to Georgia via bus because they were something like 5 miles short of the NCAA threshold to fly. We also had a team from Washington because their closest regional was in Texas. So the NCAA figured they would go ahead and fly them across the country if they must pay for a flight. So there you go. One team from Ohio to Georgia via bus because they were 5 miles short of the threshold. And then we have this too. So this is from Tyler Hardy.
Yeah. Idiotic how they treat this tournament. It's idiotic. That's what's getting lost on the UNC and NC State side for my initial comment about Carolina being the number 4 overall seed and having to face LSU in the regional round. If the tournament was seeded properly and it was given the way that it really should be, you would avoid all of these things and you wouldn't have these West Coast teams who get a path that is lighter than the ones on this side of the country. If East Carolina was East Carolina, Santa Barbara, they would have made Omaha 3 times already.
Let's go to the OG Sports phone. You can call it 919-444-2211. I do have a prompt for the OG Sports phone. The prompt for the OG Sports phone is, what is your welcome to the league moment in whatever industry you're in? I don't need a sports welcome to the league. I need
your industry.
I need your industry. You are, I don't know, you've been a long time car salesman. Like, shout out to my guy Marble, long time car salesman, right? And I would love to know what his welcome to the league moment was. Did somebody swoop in and get the deal before he could? You know, like that kind of stuff.
That's
like,
the breaks,
I learned.
Kid. Them's the breaks, kid.
Always be closing. So call 919-444-2211. Let's go to the OG Sports phone.
Hey guys, this is Robbie calling, longtime listener. I just had a theory I wanted to share with you guys. I had a friend of mine in a deep conversation ask me who my favorite NC State player was of all time. I said David Thompson, although I didn't get to see him play, named after a Jedi. Pretty incredible. Well, that led us to realize that he indeed was the Skywalker well before Luke Skywalker. So we then went down the rabbit hole to find out the origin of Luke Skywalker himself, found out that he was originally written by George Lucas as Luke Starkiller, and ultimately, to George Lucas's disappointment, was renamed because Starkiller resembled, negative from the Charles Manson murders in the early 70s. And that was one of the reasons they didn't want to use the word killer. So we're like, that's weird, so scrap the name, was in need of a new one. And we thought, well, that would be pretty crazy if George Lucas was indeed a basketball fan. Well, turns out that he is a massive and lifelong Golden State fan. So what I'm claiming is that George Lucas needed a new name. Production was already well underway, and he had to find a new one. And I think that he was present for an exhibition game with the Denver Nuggets in the ABA and the Golden State Warriors in the NBA. And he found his name, and I think that Luke Skywalker was indeed named after David Thompson. Let me know what you think.
I've never heard this theory advanced before.
I've never heard this theory
But I like
advanced
it.
either. I like this theory. I'm going to have to do
That
a little
also
more
means
research on
George
this.
Lucas would be a Pac Bro.
Yeah, I guess so. Claim them. Gotta watch that new Star Wars show, by the way. All right.
Do you got to?
I do. I'm excited
do you
about
got
this.
to?
But no, I'm curious about this. I'm gonna have to spend.
Let me tell you how it ends, Joe.
Yeah. The Death Star blows up. This guy's his
There's no
dad.
moon,
Death
Joe.
Star blows up. Blah blah blah.
They're
blah,
all
blah.
related.
Oh yeah.
They're kissing sisters.
So I'm gonna have to look. That's an interesting theory. I'm gonna have to look that one up. I'm gonna do that after the show. I'm not gonna put out any Instagram reels. I'm just gonna get lost in this rabbit hole.
Hey, Joe and Joe, it's Bluegrass Matt. Hey, I'm just catching up on my listening and hearing Giglio give us some history on Nike and NC State, I think he may have stumbled across a future summer bit, maybe something like Professor Joe or Professor Giglio. Appreciate you guys. Thanks.
Like how Matt's given himself a bluegrass name. That's look, those are the types of things that I like happening organically when it's like story time and it's kind of related. Like for instance, the Kyrie Irving thing, right?
Yeah.
With Carl Lentz. Those are the types of things I like. But speaking of bluegrass, we'll leave on this from Scott. Hey, Joe, does everyone send you bluegrass versions of songs now?
Please.
And the answer to that is yes. So now I'm curious what Scott sent me on Twitter. As I'm now opening up Instagram. What do we got here? Come on, Instagram. Give me the Bengals. Walk like an Egyptian.
It's not terrible.
Actually, you know what? I don't think this is coming through the speaker. Hold on a second. Let me pull this up on the. Hold on a second. I got to do a little editing here. Hold on. Here we go.
Although paint things on nut to me do the sand dance, don't you know? If they move too quick, oh, they're falling down like a domino. All the bizarre men by the knob, they got the money on the bet. Go crocodile, oh, snap the teeth on the cigarette. Born top in the hooky pop, say, hey, oh, hey, oh, hey, oh, hey, oh. Walk like an Egyptian.
You know what?
You liked it.
That shit goes hard. That went kind of hard. Not gonna lie, man. That actually worked. You look, hey, look. I am somebody that tries to keep an open mind on all these types of stuff. If you send me a bluegrass cover that bangs,
that's not fair.
That shit slapped. No, that shit slapped. That was good.
Wait, hold on.
Dude, with the OAO, when the guys were harmonizing on the OAOA.
How are you discerning bluegrass covers? They all sound the same.
But some songs actually might work better in that situation, and I actually think that went good.
I don't know.
I'm somewhat surprised.
I think you either you is or you ain't.
I mean, I can't twerk to it, but I thought that was pretty good. We'll see y'all tomorrow.